All right. Make sure you watch this whole podcast for 4 NFL games being broken down. We're going to go with trends on these games. We're going to agree on the 8 possible situations between the total and the side. We're going to agree on 3 of them, and we're going to say that the trends and some other stuff point different way on 5 out of the 8. And then we're going to talk about some potential DFS situations with these games also. And then Darren here, by the way, guys, welcome the first time. He was here on phone last time, but live, Darren Dimes.
Hey guys, thank you. Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
So yeah, we're gonna have Darren do a lot of DFS stuff. We'll ask him about some players, and then we'll ask him about his own situations he has going on. So we're gonna do that. Make sure you watch the whole video. You get 3 predictions. You'll get DFS best value plays and things of that nature. Hang on tight. Watch the whole video. Ted Brooks with the Sports Profits here with Chris Temple, and like I said before, Darren Dimes. What's up, Chris?
How's it going?
Ready to do this thing here. Start it off for us.
All right, so the first game I'm touching on is the Cowboys and Bengals. A lot of these trends, a little bit surprising, being that Dallas's defense is so lackluster, looking terrible. On the other hand, their offense is not very productive. The Bengals offense is not very productive as well either. Total has gone under in 4 of Cincy's last 5 games against an NFC East opponent. The total has gone under in 4 of Cincy's last 5 games against Dallas. Leaning towards the under here with those trends. I'm also leaning towards Cincy. They're 5-0-1 against the spread in their last 6 at home. 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 games when playing against home at Dallas. And Dallas is really having struggle. They're having trouble covering these spreads. 2-10 against the spread in their last 12 games. 1-4 against the spread in their last 5 when playing against the road on Cincinnati. I'm going Bengals and the under.
All right. So now I'm gonna touch on both of those moves, and I'm gonna move over here to Darren for a couple of questions along my way. But first, let me just say you got 2 teams with losing records. And the interesting thing, it's 2 very different situations. The Bengals, not much to play for. The Cowboys, not the same situation. The Cowboys still have a chance to win it. The big red elephant in the room, Andy Dalton, guys. He was the Bengals quarterback for almost a decade. And now Dak gets hurt. And Dalton's now playing against the Bengals. Very interesting thing to see here. As you know, the Bengals are just beat up. You got Mixon hurt, Joe Burrow hurt. Very interesting situation. And Andy Dalton playing his old team. I'm looking for maybe a little. It's not huge animosity between them, but there's always that old chip on the shoulder and the freckled ginger shoulder at that one, guys, with Andy Dalton, the Red Rocket. We got to love him. Joe Burrow's out for the season. We don't know if he's going to be back anytime soon. What do you think of Dalton in DFS, Darren?
He's actually been decent. He played a tough defense last week. Did get Amari Cooper a touchdown. CeeDee Lamb. Gallup also had a touchdown last week. CeeDee Lamb looks like he's going to be a stud. They have a lot of weapons. And Zeke was catching the ball out of the backfield. I mean, if you were going anyone in this game at quarterback, you would go Dalton. Although Brandon Allen, who's probably going to start for the Bengals, is cheap. But I mean, I think he had 9 fantasy points his last start. So I don't know about that. But the Cowboys, 32nd against the pass.
Yeah. Their defense, 32nd against the pass, 32nd in overall points allowed as well. They're giving up monster plays on the ground also, though. Is this accurate here? They gave up 294 rushing yards to the Ravens?
It is.
Wow.
I mean, Lamar had that 140-yard scramble for a touchdown, right up the gut, actually.
Yeah,
Dobbins had a long one. Gus Edwards had 2 rushes over 30 yards, I believe.
Here's what I'm going to say about this. It doesn't look good for Dallas. The signs point to the Bengals. One thing to keep in mind, the trends that Chris went over here, they're pretty much irrelevant because Dalton was the quarterback for Cincinnati for most of these games. and you have Dak Prescott being the quarterback for Dallas of the last few years. So it doesn't match up on the trend. So don't pay them too much attention. But as far as the total, I think all trends definitely point to the under, but I have reasons why I don't think that's going to happen. Cincinnati has failed to score more than 17 points in their last 4 games. Brandon Allen starting at quarterback, guys, not really going to inspire confidence here. The Cowboys are going to be determined to put points on the board. And like I said before, keep their playoff bid alive and really try to keep up with them, because they're not going to do it on defense. I mean, they're not going to stop them. So they have to score along with them. I'm not saying that the Cowboys are going to cover this, because I'll tell you why I don't think they are in a second, but they're not going to score with them. But I mean, they're not going to hold them from scoring. So they have to score with them if they want to keep up. You have 3.5 for the home dog. The Bengals, Andy Dalton going against them. They want to show him maybe something. But, you know, against the spread, that half a point in a game like this, where you have Dallas playing for that spot, and you have the Bengals, and you have a backup quarterback, and you have kind of a running back by committee situation. And it's Perrine and Bernard, whoever they're going to have at running back. And we'll talk more about what do you think about that? Is there any play there? I mean,
you know,
because they gave up 200. Dallas gave up 295 yards rushing, right?
Did.
So the logical man would think, should I start a running back against Dallas?
I mean, for the price, if you use your money elsewhere in daily fantasy, it might be worth, you know, you go with a really low salary in Perrine, or, I mean, Bernard, you know, Bernard is more the pass catching back. But he gets more touches per game. It's a crapshoot. It's a crapshoot. But you know, their prop totals are probably pretty low. I haven't seen any yet. We'll see them, you know, as we get closer to game time, you know, probably by Saturday. But their prop total for rushing yards are probably pretty low. So that might be something to look at, though.
Good insight there.
All right, so here's what we're doing. We're going Bengals plus 3.5. That's where we agree on this one. So make sure you get the hook on this. That's a free play, free prediction. And then go over 42.5. So I'm going to go against what Chris said. I'm going to say go over 42.5.
Can I just ask, how many sounds you got over there?
Got 8 there. 8 on the switchboard.
8 sounds, but unlimited. You can download.
Yeah, we can change it to whatever we want. But don't. So guys, just a reminder: don't touch that total. I like the under. Ted's on the over. Don't touch it. Cincy, we do agree on.
Yeah, Cincinnati is an agreement there. All right, next one, Cardinals Giants. Let's hear it, Chris.
Next one is the Cardinals and Giants. So the Cardinals have been looking pretty solid. Kyler Murray's good. DeAndre Hopkins, great connection there. But they're not very good against the spread. 0-5 against the spread in their last 5 games. 1-4 straight up in their last 5 games. So they're struggling as of late. 1-5 against the spread in their last 6 this season. On the other hand, the Giants are on an uptick. They're 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 games. 5-2 straight up in their last 7. So they're making a little playoff push, especially in that pathetic division. I'm going to go with the Giants on this one. As far as the total goes, it's gone under in 4 of the Giants' last 6 games against NFC West opponents. The total has gone under in 5 of the Giants' last 7 games overall. The total has gone under in 8 of the Cardinals' last 8 games against opponents in the NFC East. And lastly, the total has gone under in 5 of Arizona's last 6 games on the road. I'm going with the Giants and the under in this one.
Interesting. You know, you would think a lot of people would be on the Giants as far as public money, and I think it's pretty close to even. I don't think they're all over them. But, I mean, and here's why you would think that. They beat Seattle last week in Seattle with Colt McCoy as a starting quarterback, subbing out for Daniel Jones. Their defense has been unbelievable this season, ranked 9th in points, allowing very low points per game, yards per game. They're 4th against the rush. So that's something to look out for. I definitely think so. I'm looking at the defensive rankings right now and statistics. 9th in total scoring. They are really holding players and teams under 100 yards rushing, under 250 yards passing. So it's very impressive. Defensive backs, especially James Bradbury, who they signed from Carolina, very impressive. On a roll the last few weeks, on fire, keeping the points per game low, keeping everything nice and low. Cardinals defense also looking pretty solid, 14th in points, 8th against the pass. Buda Baker and Pat Peterson making plays every game, ranked 6 overall in road defense. Very interesting statistic right there. Now, yes, they are 0-5 against the spread in their last 5 games, 1-4 straight up. And it's tough teams: Miami, Seattle, Rams, Patriots, Bills. Kyler Murray hasn't looked as explosive as he did early on, and they've struggled a little bit. And we've talked about this before in previous weeks. Missing field goals, that's something that you can't really do much.
Special teams.
Yeah. So the total's gone over, obviously, in 4 of Arizona's last 6, like Chris said, but those were home games, so that's interesting to look at also. And on the road, it's gone under 5 of the last 6. So that road defense, I link that back to where they're ranked in road defense versus overall defense, home defense, whatever, something to look at as well. So moving on, that defensive unit is a powerful one, is a stout one. Trends do point to the under. But if the Cards can put up enough points on this Giants defense, we might not see that. We don't know yet. So Arizona's 6-1 against the spread in their last 7 games. Yes, they are. But and that's against the Giants. That's with Eli at quarterback. Eli in his last few years, Darren, not much to say there. So I mean, who do you have in now? Who is starting? Is Daniel Jones? Is there a chance he starts?
He's questionable right now. He had a hamstring injury. I'm surprised he's questioned. I mean, I guess they're trying to rush him back. Obviously they want to win the division. But I don't know. I mean, it looks, if I had to guess, I'd say Colt McCoy is going to start, especially considering, they beat the Seahawks last week.
Why would you go again? Right.
He didn't beat, I mean, he made plays.
The defense beat him.
The defense beat him.
So going to the other side of the ball with the other team, the Giants defense has been tough, like we said, but Kyler Murray is just all over the field. He looks good, inescapable.
But since that shoulder injury, he got sacked. I believe it was against the Niners. He got sacked. And he hasn't been the same since. He also hasn't been taking off on the ground either. He hasn't attempted as many runs either. He's my fantasy quarterback in almost every league. And I don't think he's eclipsed 22 fantasy points per game in the last 4, which is a concern of mine because we're in the playoffs. But just like you said, they score so many more points at home. Maybe they like the warm weather. I don't know. But they have played really tough teams.
Solid offensive line.
Solid line, but still low yards per carry. Kenyon Drake, I think Edmonds would be the better back, the better fit for that offense. But
listen, here's what I think as far as the game goes and this spread and everything. I know a lot of things point to the Giants in this game. Like that's what you said, Chris. But I'm gonna say that the Giants are on a they peaked last week. They probably put their heart into that game against the Seahawks, and I think they're going to come down a little bit this week.
Back to reality, huh?
Back to reality.
Okay.
And I think Kyler Murray kind of finds his stride that he hasn't seen as of late, and I think that they cover that spread. But we're also agreeing. We have another free play. I'm agreeing with the under in this game. 2 very good defenses. Yeah.
2 good defenses. Just the Cardinals, what were they, 6-3, and they dropped they would have covered against the Bills. You remember, they didn't cover by half a point because Kyler kneeled the 2-point conversion.
Yep.
They didn't want to get the extra point blocked.
Mm-hmm.
So they really would have covered that game.
Right.
They purposely didn't cover. Mm-hmm. And just looking, The money distribution for this game, if people can get the line at 2.5, they are taking the Cardinals. But it's more even at 3. But there's definitely more money coming in on the Cardinals at minus 2.5.
Yeah, I mean, anytime, and this is something, a little free tidbit. This is almost like a free game for you guys that are watching this. You don't play a game at -3. You play it at -2.5. Sometimes I just forget to say it because it's such habit for myself and my private clients. We know it. We see the line at 3. We automatically buy the half. Sometimes it's a little bit expensive, but it's pretty silly to not do it unless sometimes there are some situations. A lot of these local books. You talk to a lot of clients, Darren. A lot of these local, or not local, a lot of these new states with the DraftKings and the FanDuel, they can't buy a half a point and a point sometimes. Sometimes they have to get alternates. So it's like you can either play -3 or you can buy it to a pick 'em for, who knows, 180 or 190. And those are the only two options. It's called alternate lines. And some of these new in-state books, that's all they offer. I digress. Let's move to the next game. Colts Raiders. Chris, take it over.
Colts Raiders, we're sticking with the defensive theme with the Colts. Their defenses look phenomenal. Offensively, they're putting up points as well.
Big Phil Rivers.
Big Phil. Derek Carr's look like a stud as well. He's come to play. He's showing up. Despite the Colts having a great defense, like I said, their offense puts up points. The Raiders are putting up points. I like the over. The total's gone over in 9 of Vegas's last 12 games. It's gone over in 4 of Indianapolis's last games. 4 of their last 5 games on the road. Their total has gone over in 7 of their last 10 games against an AFC opponent. I'm going over on this one. I think the Colts defense is going to have a little bit of trouble with Derek Carr, and I like the over in it. As far as the game goes, the Colts just 3-8 against the spread in their last 11 games against the Raiders. So the Raiders are giving them fits. Indianapolis 2-6-1 against the spread in their last 9 games against an AFC West division opponent. Vegas, on the other hand, 4-2 against the spread in their last 6 games. They I don't even know if they covered with the Raiders there. Against the Jets. They did win the game outright. I don't believe
they didn't cover.
They didn't cover. So they won the game with that fluke Hail Mary or whatever you want to call it, terrible defense.
How do that make you feel as a Jets fan?
That's supposed to be a secret. No
I don't want people knowing that.
He told me earlier.
Yeah,
today.
It's embarrassing. But so yeah, I like the Raiders here.
All of our secrets. I don't know if I like that.
I like the Raiders. They're trending upwards on the spreads. Indy, not so much. I'm going with the Raiders and the over on this one.
So now that it's out there, as a Jets fan, you saw the Raiders play. The Jets, I think they lost on purpose. Come on.
Yeah. So the only thing is, defensive coordinator, he basically sent in all that blitz. It cost him his job. So, is he going to want to tank to lose his job? I don't know.
But would you want to be the Jets defensive? He's definitely not getting a job easily after that, even though he's been around a while.
Right. But I think he was screwed either way, basically.
Listen, it's crazy because they covered against the Chiefs twice and beat them once. They must have loved their new home.
We were on that, by the way, as a private play. We were all over the Raiders on that one.
Our biggest plays. They must love their home in Vegas because they're much better at home in Vegas. And it's
no fans, I don't think either.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot of the comfort being. You know
what they said? Derek Carr was ran out of Oakland almost. Like they hate him there just because he was, the first overall pick and he never really was panning out.
Right.
And people say the fresh start is just the energy that he needed. Yeah.
That's interesting. I always have been a Derek Carr fan. You have to have the right situation around you to really make it work. But listen,
look at Tannehill. Terrible with the Dolphins, great with the Titans. Sometimes things just click, and they're clicking with him lately.
Sure.
The Colts defense is 7th against the rush, and the Raiders have been running for under 90 yards in 3 straight games. So that's a battle that we look at, that we see favoring the Colts. let's look at something else here. The Colts, okay? Listen, I'm just going to put it out there. I like the Colts on the money line in this game. Couple private plays have been the Colts so far this year, and we've been successful more often than not when going with them. We do see some things in this team that we do like. They're averaging 3.54 yards per rush on the road. They're going to have a tough time against the Raiders front. They're ranked 5th in the NFL in home rushing defense, allowing 3.8 yards per carry. Jonathan Taylor did look great last week against Houston. He was the most productive he's been all season, but both of these games, they're going to need to pass to move the ball down the field. So the Colts don't run well on the road, but they're 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 games on the road. So maybe, just maybe, they don't need to run well because of Rivers. Who knows? But it's tough to stay in games when you can't establish the run, but we'll see what they have to do here. The Colts are ranked 16th or 17th in most of these passing categories, so they're right in the middle of the field. Easy schedule early on. They're looking to face Carr, and he's looked great this season, as Darren was talking about. And I thought you had something to say. Sorry about that. They're 4-2 against the spread in their last 6 games, but 2-6-1 against the spread in their last 9 against opponent in the AFC West. So they don't always seem to cover the spread, but they do seem to win these games. In their last 7 against the Raiders team, they're 5-2 straight up. It seems that the Raiders are good in the AFC against the spread numbers. They're 5-1 against the spread in the last 6 against an AFC conference opponent. So that's something that's pretty interesting. The Raiders at home have been solid, 3-2 record against the spread, 2-3 straight up. Extremely, extremely tough home games. Tampa Bay, Kansas City, Buffalo, and New Orleans, underdogs in all of these games. And here they are as another home dog. So we don't really know what's going to happen here. It's really, really tough. Rivers, he's thrown for over 300 yards, 2 to 3 touchdowns. Let's hear some daily fantasy breakdown on this game real quick. Seems like we have some interesting situations happening here.
Yeah, I mean, the total's pretty high for this game. Wow, what can you say? Phillip Rivers, not looking good at the beginning of the season. What does he have? I think 2 or 3 touchdowns in 5 of the last 6 games. Hilton has finally come alive. He had 8 catches last game, over 100 yards and a touchdown. He had a touchdown the game before.
He was a ghost before that.
He was. So I love him this week again. I think he's a play the rest of the season at wide receiver in daily fantasy, or in your fantasy leagues. I played him in one of my leagues last week. I started him.
Maybe just that little connection they needed to get going, new quarterback and receiver combo.
It's weird because they said that in the off season, it was brief, but they said that they were like working out together, and they were, like he was running routes and they were connecting like perfectly on all their deep balls. But
yeah, I guess it's different when you're playing games.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And what's interesting is the Raiders, they are ranked dead last in passing, in giving up passing yards at home. So, but they also pass well at home.
Right,
so
right. They're high scoring games though. They're high scoring games.
And I'll just note that with the fact that is another free play here. So with the run game, if they can get the run game going, start airing it out. I already said it's going to be Colts on the money line. Raiders at home, as I said, you have high passing yardage and giving up high passing yardage. So we're looking for possibly a shootout here, and I'm going to agree with Chris. Free play over 50.5 on this one.
Over. There you go, guys.
All right, and that's our last free play. So we're going to do one more game, and then we're going to move to Darren just for some standalone daily fantasy. But on this game, we're going to talk about how the trends point one way and how I'm looking the opposite way.
Exactly. So my trends here, I'm looking at Buffalo 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 games. 5-1 straight up in their last 6 at home. 5-1 straight up in their last 6 overall. The total has gone under in 4 of Pittsburgh's last 5 games. It's gone under in 5 of Pittsburgh's last 5 games against an AFC East opponent. The total has gone under in 5 of Buffalo's last 6 games against an AFC North opponent. And the total has also gone under in 4 of Buffalo's last 5 games against Pittsburgh. So here I'm looking at Buffalo and the under. The Steelers, I'm sure, even coming off of a loss, anyone could make the case, as Ted is about to. They've looked phenomenal this season, but my trends that I'm looking at are telling me the Bills in the under, and I've just told you why.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I understand that. A lot of people there's like this thing on social media going around about how before their loss last week, they were the worst 11-0. Were they 11-0 going into that game? Or was it was 11-0, right? Yeah. They're saying they're the worst 11-0 team ever. So, I get where you're coming from. The Bills are playing tough. They have Josh Allen. He's playing at the top of his game. Unbelievable arm. He's young. He's smart. He does it all, and he's very, very good. Now, with the Steelers being 11-1, being their first loss of the year, and listen, it's not a big deal for them. Mike Tomlin, he made some questionable decisions, and it really just allowed Washington to kind of steal the game. It was a meltdown. They were up 14-0 early, and they dropped the game, but they're still 6-1 against the spread in their last 7 games against opponent in the AFC. They're still doing everything they need to do. They've been horrible against the NFC so far this year, almost losing to the Cowboys as well. Very bad division, as we were talking about before, because we broke down some other teams that are in the division, and the Steelers still seem to have trouble, so maybe they just weren't getting up. Maybe they weren't getting fired up for these games because they know the teams are not good. I don't want to curse on the podcast. Could get censored here. No, the tubes and stuff, they censor, supposedly.
Okay. We got too much censorship these days, but that's another story.
So, yeah, I mean, now they're playing a team that's 9-3, and they might get a little fired up here. So let's see what happens. Big Ben plays very well against Buffalo. The games, now this is when Josh Allen was not the quarterback. So obviously that's definitely a little bit different. I understand that. Josh Allen's great, huge arm, just scrambles, does everything he needs to do. Trading for Diggs was a crucial offseason move. He's been one of the top 5 leading receivers in 2020. They haven't found their stride in the run game. They're ranked 23rd in rushing yards, and that includes Josh Allen's scrambling numbers. So it's not the best situation there. The running back just isn't producing much there. Pitt's ranked 6th against the run. They're very good against the pass also. They're ranked 2nd against the pass. It's just not something that it might not be pretty. I don't know. The Steelers are they're not really running the ball much either. They're missing Gilbert. They're missing Pouncey, missing linemen. Connor will be back. He was on a little coronavirus hiatus there, but we don't see much of a boost happening because the line just isn't there for him. The Bills are ranked 28th against the run. 4.6 yards per carry is what they're allowing. So, I mean, Connor will try to get the job done, but they're going to put him in the passing game. Short passes. Big Ben is ranked 30th in yards per completion, but top 10 in passing attempts. Allen ranks extremely high in passing yards at 3rd overall. He might be airing it out. We don't know.
Try.
Yeah,
he's going to try. Missing John Brown again, though. Deep threat.
That's the thing. I mean, they're going against the Steelers offense, and he really might not have any other chance but to air it out here.
You don't. You're going to have trouble running the ball. Singletary just is really having a not a good second year. Obviously from UM, and they drafted Zach Moss because Singletary wasn't panning out, and he hasn't looked good this year either. So
the Bills are giving up 2 to 4 sacks per game.
Yeah.
They're ranked 1st overall in points allowed per game. Without Devin Bush, Bud Dupree, like you said, Defensive Player of the Year, TJ Watt.
Yeah, I mean, he obviously, as of now, Aaron Donald is going to win it. But I think TJ Watt actually had the most sacks this season before last game. I mean, he's up there. He's definitely up there.
Josh Allen, I mean, what do you think he does against his defense? Is this his test? Like,
this is his real test.
Yeah.
I mean, he started off the season super hot. against some tough defenses. What did they put up? 35 against the Rams. I mean, at the half, they were leading like 28-3. They almost blew the game because they let their foot off the gas. Then after that game, he kind of had a little, a little lull. But these last 4 games, I think they're scoring over 30 points a game. And I think what you were saying there is what they're averaging. I think even their defense is giving up around like 30 points a game the last few games also.
Yeah.
They've been high 32-30 against the Cardinals, right? Was one of them.
Right. So, I mean, the trends, they do point to the under a lot, but I'll discuss how it could go the other way. So 5 of Pittsburgh's last 5 games against opponent in the AFC East, it's gone under. It's gone under in 4 of Buffalo's last 5 against Pittsburgh. So that's an interesting thing to look at as well. It's gone under in 5 of Buffalo's last 6 games against an AFC North conference opponent. Powerful defenses usually with the Ravens and the Steelers. Now, in 4 of Buffalo's last 5 games, the total has gone over. They've been a defensive liability against the run. They're middle of the pack against the pass. So they're missing a lot of players, and they're missing Norman on the pass. So total's 48. Not a high total. The Bills are averaging 36 points over their last 4 games. So as Darren was just saying, the Bills are putting up crazy points. So you think about that. I mean, even if you lower that number because they're playing such a powerful defense, they're still going to put up big points. Maybe 28, something like that, somewhere around there. The Bills are allowing an average of 27 points over their last 4 games. So I think it's going to be a close game, but I think that these numbers and the fact that we were talking about earlier, how Josh Allen is just going to try his best to air it out. I see the total. You buy it down. You try to get it close to 47 as possible, and you go over. And the Steelers are 2-0 as a road dog this season. Yes, there is a case for the Bills. They're 4-1 against the spread and straight up, and 6 home games this season, 5-1 straight up. And who did they lose to? The Chiefs. Who did they beat though? They beat the Rams. They beat the Dolphins. They beat the Seahawks. But no, we're gonna go with the Steelers in this one. We're gonna disagree, like I said. We're gonna go over. So I think that while Buffalo and Josh Allen will try to air it out and maybe be a little bit successful, we think that at the end of the day, Pittsburgh's gonna inch them out by a couple of points here. Now, it's time. And by the way, guys, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the YouTube, all that stuff, if you want us to keep this stuff coming. Our man Darren Dimes here is about to do a little bit more DFS breakdown, and then we're going to be out of here. Check out his page also. He does a very good price a lot of props and DFS, which is something we don't really delve into much here at the Sports Profit. So if you want great prop plays in DFS, check them out. Go ahead, Darren.
Thank you, Ted. So, we'll start with the quarterback position. Just in general, always want to go with, players in games where you see the Vegas total very high. Naturally, they're expecting the most points in these games. So that's the first thing you want to, target regarding those players. The second thing, would be matchups, teams that are ranked at the bottom of the league against the pass or against the run. So quarterback, I have a few options here. I don't love anybody for the price. Russ, obviously, coming off a really disappointing loss against the Giants. Now playing the Jets at home, second home game in a row. It was really surprising they lost last week. Look, they're ranked. The Jets are 30th against the pass, giving up literally the 3rd most points to opposing quarterbacks in daily fantasy. He is expensive though, 9,000. I like Herbert, 8,300 on FanDuel. 68, I believe.
Is Herbert rookie 79? Of the year? You know what the prop for that is?
He's like favorite? Running away with. Yeah, he's running away with offensive.
You know what the line is?
It's not even worth betting on.
So yeah, I had a bet against. It's funny because I had a bet against Herbert at early in the year before we knew what he was going to do. And when I saw it, I was like, wow, this guy's good. Rookie of the year. But I bet the line was a lot different then.
You're not kidding. I mean, and look, Herbert, they're playing the Atlanta Falcons 32nd against the pass, 32nd ranked against opposing quarterbacks, aka first, as far as giving up the most. So definitely have Herbert at QB on some lineups. I stacked him with Keenan Allen at wide receiver. Obviously, Keenan Allen, nobody on the Chargers did anything last week, but before that, Keenan Allen scoring tons of touchdowns. 8,500 on FanDuel, 7,100 on DraftKings. Obviously, DraftKings full point per reception, and Keenan Allen, he can get a lot of catches, runs a lot of short routes, so he's always a good DraftKings play. Then Tanny, as you said before, Tannehill in a good situation now with the Titans, so I have him on a lineup. I did stack him with A.J. Brown at wide receiver, who doesn't have a lot of catches this year, but, he'll have 4 catches for 89 yards and a touchdown, or, he can literally go for a touchdown any play because he's so damn big, right. You can't get him down. Running backs, interesting here. I went mostly cheap. If you're going expensive, I definitely like Aaron Jones. Detroit's a 32nd ranked rush defense. Obviously, they're probably going to kill him. So at that point, they probably play Jamal Williams a lot. So he might not be worth the price there because he might not get his full amount of carries. Good running backs for the prices. Jonathan Taylor on the Colts, Montgomery on the Bears, Ronald Jones on the Bucks. Really like Ronald Jones against Minnesota this week. I think they're gonna beat Minnesota pretty handily. He's reasonably priced, 6,300 on FanDuel, 6,100 on DraftKings, and he is clearly the lead back over Fournette, and he is getting all the goal line carries and everything, and he's very dominant over Fournette in the passing game because Fournette can't catch worth a damn. Same game, actually, I have a Brady lineup, a Brady, Godwin, and Ronald Jones lineup as well. Godwin, I think, has 8 catches in each of the last 2 games on like 11 targets in each game. And, targets usually amount to catches, especially Minnesota giving up a lot of points in general. Not a very good defense. And the Bucks, I mean, they're looking to put some points on the board. They have to. Tom Brady, he's going to come out fired up off this bye.
Agreed.
It almost seems like Brady is playing with the super major chip.
He's so angry this year.
Right.
How angry is he? He's yelling at everybody.
Yeah, I mean, he always is fired up. He's an emotional player. He's Tom Brady.
I think he's more angry
he's
this
definitely
year than ever.
Playing with the chip. And it's interesting because not only is it showing in his emotion, but it seems like they're like running up the score college style almost on some of these games.
Because they get embarrassed in other games when they can't protect Brady.
Right, they come back,
crushed.
it's like they have something to prove.
Yep.
But you see, he's yelling at people. He's like, how the F didn't we win? I don't know. You're the quarterback. What do you mean? Like, fourth down? No, anyway. So just real quick here, some other running backs I like real cheap. Ty Johnson on the Jets. The Seahawks are actually ranked 30th against the run. He's reasonably priced, 5,300 on FanDuel. He had, I think, 11 targets last week out of the backfield. Obviously, the Jets aren't expected to, right, Chris? The Jets aren't expected to do very well this week, but, he might be their only healthy running back. Frank Gore got a concussion last week, I believe.
Might do a couple little dink and dunks. So,
tons of dinks and dunks.
Exactly. So those reception points will add up.
I picked him up off waivers for the playoffs in season-long fantasy too, because he's expected to be the primary back this week, and he is very low priced. Other wide receivers I like, Tyler Lockett, obviously Metcalf on the other side against the same team, the Jets. Lockett in home games usually flourishes and usually scores. He didn't score in the last week. I think this is his week. He's going to get a nice long touchdown this week. Thielen, I love Thielen this week. I love Thielen every week.
About to say that.
Great receiver.
He's the man. Love Thielen. And look, I do think the Bucks win. They're going to be winning most of the game. Vikings will need to pass because Dalvin Cook will have trouble running the ball. And the Bucks are horrible in yards after the catch on defense. So that's all Thielen, baby. And then pretty much tight ends I don't like a lot. Hunter Henry I'm going with in almost all my lineups. Atlanta 28th against tight ends. As I said, I got Herbert, I got Keenan Allen, and I got Hunter Henry on a few different lineups. So and then cheap option Dan Arnold. He has averaged about 7 fantasy points per game. Kyler's kind of decided he's his favorite tight end. So he's kind of a low-priced option. And then defense, I'm going Carolina on everything. They've scored a touchdown defense in each of the last 2 games. I think they have 17 fantasy points on FanDuel in each of the last 2 weeks. They're playing Denver. The total's kind of high, but I think Carolina's going to keep it going. They've actually been impressive.
Yeah, I'm going to put you on the spot like I did last week.
Okay.
I'm going to do it a little bit extra than I did last week, but I'll do the same thing as last week first. Three value players: quarterback, running back, receiver.
My value play. Okay.
One.
Quarterback. Jalen Hurts. He's
Alabama's.
Cheap.
Yep.
No.
Well, yeah.
We were in Oklahoma, and then he's been everywhere. But he's cheap. He's, obviously he came in. He's going to start for Wentz this weekend. Wentz is awful, and he's a great play against a tough defense in the Saints, but a great cheap play.
So
you could pass for Carson Wentz doppelganger a little bit
something
there.
that's interesting. Correct me if I'm wrong. So basically, Alabama passed on Hurts over the long term for Tua.
Yep.
Yeah.
So now, right?
So he won a championship with them.
Right. And right. So now Hurts went to another team.
Yeah.
Where do you go? Oklahoma?
Yeah.
Okay. Hurts went to Oklahoma because they wanted Tua. And, it's just interesting how things work. Now Tua got a job. Now he loses a job. And now a quarterback is being supposed to be a great quarterback, Carson Wentz, being benched for Jalen Hurts. Right. It's interesting how things work.
Funny how things work.
It's almost like, it's
he was
crazy.
A much higher pick than,
All right. I digress. Hurts for quarterback. Let's go running back, Darren.
Okay. Running back. As I said, Ty Johnson on the Jets, even though they're probably going to be down, I think there's so much value with his price, especially in the passing game and against the Seahawks. They're going to need to try and play catch up. So
wide receiver.
With all the injuries in the Houston Texans receiving core, I like this Hansen kid, 5,100 on FanDuel. He had 8 catches on 11 targets and a touchdown last week. And I believe Kiki QT is questionable. He'll probably play. He was really good last week too. So he's another option, but both of them on the same team. They got nobody. They lost Cobb, Fuller for steroids.
We're going to add something here. Splurge player of the week. If you have one player expensive player that you suggest is worth going all out on, who is it?
It's probably it's got to be Devontae Adams. He's just matchup proof. He's amazing. He catches every ball thrown anywhere near him.
Aaron Rodgers loves him.
He loves him, and you can guarantee he's going to get his targets. The only issue is if they're beating the Lions by 30 points in the first half.
And he's not the reason why. Because in the second half, he's not right.
Then he will be, then they won't need him. They just run the ball.
And so he has to get started early.
Yes, and that's the problem with Aaron Jones, too, is that I'm worried that if they're winning too much, they're not going to run the score up. That's the point. It is a division game, and most of their games in that division have gone over, though.
We are running out of time. Like I said before, follow the YouTube, like this video, hit the notification bell, follow the Instagram, go follow Darren Dimes' Instagram. We'll put the link in the bio. And make sure that you check us out every single day, every single week. We just gave you a lot of free information. We just took hours of our time to give whoever's watching this something for free. So get the love and give it right back to us. You don't have to buy anything. You don't have to get packages if you don't want to. If you just want to sit there and watch, that's fine. But make sure you subscribe and like and do all that great stuff. Chris Temple, say bye to the people.
See ya. And touching on the free topic, I think I can't help but look at the score here. 63-7 Arizona State. I believe that was a free play today.
Look, I'm so into this podcast, I didn't even know.
Yeah, every time I look over, they're running into the end zone. Our free game of the day was Arizona State. Today, we're actually recording this podcast. Today's Friday. So these are for Sunday games, but today's Friday. Our free game of the day today, Arizona State. So if you're following and you're doing all that good stuff, you got that. You probably put a couple bucks on it.
Couple shekels.
And you're a happy guy. Darren, thank you so much for joining us.
Yep.
I like it a lot better when you're here, Darren, than when you're on the phone. So I think we should keep that going. And I think the people are going to like it too.
Well, you know what? You have free Skittles here at your office, so I'll be here.
We have unlimited candy here at the Sports Profits Complex. Guys, till next time, we will see you next week.